Welcome, rail fans. Today we tour some of the small towns along Union Pacific's Palestine Subdivision through Walker County, Texas. The Palestine Subdivision begins at the company's Lloyd Yard on the north side of Houston, then winds north through Montgomery, Walker, Trinity, Houston, and Anderson counties to the Palestine Yard. Huntsville is the county seat of Walker County. It is best known today as the headquarters of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice and the home of Sam Houston State University. The university itself is widely known for its programs in criminal justice. Just off campus is the Captain Joe Byrd Prison Cemetery. It's the largest prison cemetery in the United States, with more than 3,000 graves of people who have died in custody with no one to claim them. The first burials were in the 1850s, and each year about 100 new graves are added. The most famous person buried in Huntsville is Sam Houston. Born in 1793 in Virginia, he first migrated to Tennessee where he was a soldier, attorney, and politician. He served in the U.S. Congress and was governor of Tennessee and was closely allied with President Andrew Jackson. In 1829, he divorced his first wife after just a short time and abruptly resigned as governor. By 1832, he had settled in Texas after spending some time with his Cherokee friends. After successfully leading the Texas Army during the 1836 Revolution, he was elected as the first and third president of the Republic of Texas. He served in the United States Senate during the 1850s and was elected governor. He was forced to resign in 1861 because he would not support secession from the Union. He died in Huntsville in 1863 after a bout of pneumonia. The largest freestanding bronze statue in the country stands beside Interstate 45 south of Huntsville and commemorates his legacy to the state. The railroad originally bypassed Huntsville when construction began in earnest just after the Civil War. A yellow fever epidemic swept through the town in 1867. Many of the citizens believed the epidemic started from sick passengers who arrived on the stagecoach. When the Houston and Great Northern Railroad was trying to purchase right-of-way, the city fathers balked and the main line was routed to bypass Huntsville to the southeast. By 1871, when the railroad was finished, the citizens had a change of heart and started the Huntsville Branch Railroad. It was a tap railroad with a short spur from nearby Phelps that ran into downtown to a passenger and freight depot. That branch line continued to be used into the 1990s. It was closed in 1997 when part of it was damaged by a flood, and Missouri Pacific, which then owned it, declined to repair it. Much of the line has been torn up north of Highway 19, but you can still see much of the branch line that runs along Old Phelps Road between Highway 19 and the Phelps siding about 8 miles east of town. Here you see where the branch runs into a county road that has been paved over it. The line between Houston and Dallas was originally built in the late 1860s by Phelps Dodge Corporation for the Houston and Great Northern Railroad, which was later known as the International and Great Northern Railroad. Pictured here is Phelps Dodge Steam Engine Number 1, a Baldwin Locomotive Works marvel built for the company in 1857. It sits today at the El Paso Museum of Transportation and is a fine example of a mid-19th century steam locomotive. The line got its start from an 1858 bill that passed the Texas legislature. Its goal was to build a railroad from Dallas to Houston to facilitate shipping throughout East Texas. In the 1850s, Dallas had a dream of being an important inland port using the Trinity River that runs from the Dallas-Fort Worth area to Galveston Bay. Only one steamboat ever managed the trip from Houston to Dallas. It took more than a year in 1858 for the steamer to make it from Houston to Dallas with passengers and freight because of sandbars and other obstacles in the river. The Trinity River is just not navigable for deeper draft vessels north of about 80 miles inland from Galveston. Reading that story, one wonders whether the passengers could have gotten to Dallas faster just by walking. Phelps Dodge Corporation was best known through most of its history as a mining company. It was started in New York City in the 1830s as a family-owned import-export company. It later acquired mining interests in Bisbee, the Arizona Territory, in the early 1850s. Here you are looking at the Phelps Dodge Museum in Bisbee, Arizona. This building served as the company's headquarters from about 1902 to 1961. The Phelps Dodge name was used until 2007 when the company was acquired by Freeport-McMoRan, and it now operates under that name as the second largest mining company in the United States. As the company was building the line southeast of Huntsville, it was integral in establishing several of the modern communities, including Willis, New Waverly, the small communities of Phelps and Dodge, named after the company, and Riverside, which sits on the Trinity River at the county line. The original railroad bridge across the river was torn down and replaced in 1902, and the structure you see here was opened in 1904. This was originally a swing bridge built on a 33-foot circular central pier of concrete with a large steel pin in the middle. It was opened by hand using a large wheel and gear system. According to the Sam Houston State University Library's history of the bridge, it was only ever swung open twice, once in 1904 for its dedication ceremony, and once in the 1932 river flood to allow floating logs to get downstream. In about 1950, Missouri Pacific, which then owned it, welded the ends of the bridge so it can no longer be swung open. Here, Union Pacific Engine 2523 leads a manifest across the bridge as it heads north to Palestine. If you look at the center of the bridge, you can see the large circular concrete pier on which the bridge sits. One of the more important points along the Palestine subdivision is the siding at Phelps, which provides an opportunity for the occasional southbound train to meet and pass the more common northbounders. Union Pacific typically uses the Palestine subdivision line for primarily northbound traffic. Southbounders usually run from Palestine to Hearne, Texas, and then south to Houston on the Navasota Subdivision at Spring Junction. Here, Union Pacific's engine 5611 pulls a manifest north at the Phelps siding. Located south of Phelps near the county line is the city of New Waverly, a town of just over 1,000 people. The most iconic building in town is the 1869 St. Joseph Catholic Church, which was started by Polish immigrants living at what was then known as Waverly Station. The original town of Waverly, now known as the Old Waverly Community, about 10 miles to the east, was just as short-sighted as Huntsville when the railroad came through, refusing to sell it right-of-way. So the railroad just moved over about 10 miles and set up Waverly Station. Businesses quickly grew up around the railroad and left Old Waverly to wither away. This is an older picture of the church showing it in full glory. When I was in town this past weekend, the steeple in front were getting a facelift, and it is surrounded by scaffolding all the way to the top. I'm glad I don't have that job since I hate climbing. The town of Willis is not actually in Walker County, but is located just south of New Waverly on the county line. I have to mention it because the famous Old West gunfighter, John Wesley Hardin, is reputed to have been involved in a shootout in Willis on June 19, 1872. It is not known if anyone was killed, but this was during the same time Hardin was involved in the famous Sutton-Taylor feud around Gonzales, Texas. Here, Union Pacific's engine 7664 leads a long manifest train north through Willis at the Rogers Road crossing. Willis, like New Waverly, Phelps, Dodge, and Riverside, was founded by the railroad when the town of Danville, located about 4 miles west, refused to sell right-of-way to the Houston and Great Northern. It actually worked out well because much of the line parallels State Highway 75 straight north from Conroe to just north of New Waverly, then takes off northeast to Phelps, Dodge, Riverside, Trinity, Lovelady, Crockett, and then Palestine. Please note the Distributed Power Unit, or DPU, pushing at the end. I've noticed more and more Union Pacific using these DPUs on long trains on this line. It has lots of advantages, including equalizing pressure in the air brake system throughout the train and lessening the stress on the couplings between cars. If you are ever passing through Phelps and are hungry, there's really only one place to go, and that's Taqueria Carmelita, which sits right next to the Phelps siding off of Farm to Market Road 2296. It may be small, but the authentic Mexican food is excellent. And if you listen close, you just might hear Carmelita singing along with the radio as she works. You will not find friendlier people either. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.